Amanda Jane Stern bring a perfectly good moment to the class. Who the hell is banned from Nolan? And Barbie gets a sequel.
Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call! Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller?
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm late for class.
You are mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimbley to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
That's right. There is no bathroom. Hi and hello, classmates. Welcome to Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Tyler.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Peter.
We have a great show for you today. Thank you, everyone, joining us on YouTube and on our podcast streaming services.
That's right.
Kind of screwed that one up a little bit, but that's okay.
That's all right. I like how you're keeping it fluid on the intros.
Thank you.
You had a little dance at the beginning,
Little
even.
jig.
Yeah, I wanted to do a little jig.
A little shimmy.
Yeah, a little shimmy.
Whatever you can do from the nipple high up.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
shows on the camera.
Well, anyways, it's great to be back in here in the Abeyta studios.
Yeah.
And again, thank you everyone who's joining on YouTube Live. It really helps us out
Hey,
a lot.
Heather's in the chat.
Oh,
Heather and
hey,
Joe Bridges.
Heather. Oh, thank
What
you.
up?
So we have a very stormy day today in Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
I think if I could speak for all of us, it was very difficult to get into these seats today.
I really wanted to keep sleeping, but I realized that my inflatable Christmas decorations out front were probably escaping because the wind was taking them away. I had to run outside at like 6:30 this morning and go get them out front.
I can imagine you in like this olive green robe, like in like moccasins or something, and just running out.
Pretty accurate, except for it's navy blue plaid wool robe. It's a Pendleton robe my dad gave me a couple years ago for Christmas.
Real Clark Griswold situation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love the itch of wool on my skin.
You're wearing a wool sweater right now.
I know. If I could, I'd have no shirt underneath. I'd just let it scratch me up.
You definitely could.
Yeah. I mean,
and no one would know.
I hope we can bring some warmth to everyone out in the sound of our voices because, again, like I said before last week, we're in the crappiest time of the holiday season. Now, I wanted to bring this point up really quick before we actually get into our movie Gavin chatter.
Okay.
So in movies, they always portray Christmas Eve as being like the most stressful day for like the nuclear family. And I disagree with that. I think that's when you really relax your shoulders on Christmas Eve because going up to Christmas Eve is the most stressful part. It's the 2 weeks of you have to work, you have to shop, you have to prepare.
Well, the stressful nature of it in the movies is always that the dumbass dad waited for the last second to get the Turbo Man.
Yeah. Jingle all the way situation.
It wouldn't be as stressful if you just planned ahead. Brianna's got all her Christmas shopping done already. All the presents are wrapped. She just has to take one more trip to the post office to give stuff away to send off to the East Coast.
I just think though, because I was due to the nature of my job, I see these people stress the hell out. Just like making sure that no one sees the packages that are coming in, like they're feverishly like decorating. And so I think that this idea that Christmas Eve is like the most stressful time of day for the Christmas holiday is it's inaccurate. It's the 2 weeks leading up to it that is the most stressful time. So I would like to see a movie.
Okay.
I would like to see a movie of the weeks going up to the holiday and then the big payoff being like where you can let your hair down and then everything's okay.
I don't know.
That sounds boring.
I mean,
sounds like a boring movie.
Yeah, it kind of does. You know what? Thinking about it now, it kind of does.
To be honest though, like my least favorite part of Christmas season is Christmas Day.
Really?
Yeah. I love the lead up to the holiday.
That's how you know your heart is dead.
Because it's like all this like festivities and celebrations happening towards it is the most fun part of it. And then once you get to the day and then the morning of Christmas, like once that day is like at an end, it's like, well, it's all over now. And that's why Christmas movies, like I don't like the end of Christmas movies because
it's that same feeling.
Because it's over.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
I completely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
All right. You're more than welcome to have that wrong opinion, but that's okay.
It's not a hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take
The
either.
Christmas day is the worst day of the entire holiday season?
Yeah, because you're celebrating.
That's not a hot take?
You're celebrating Christmas all the way up to
That
Christmas
makes sense.
Day.
That
I make a point to not celebrate Christmas until Christmas Day.
You only
November's
get
just
one-
being
you
Merry
only-
Christmas.
you
It's
only
like,
get
nope,
one day.
not today.
Only get
It's
one
not
day.
Christmas yet, my friend.
It's the Christmas season, the holiday.
I'm confused about the Salvation
guys
Army
are a
people
part-
ringing the bell. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not even Christmas.
Yeah, but you guys are a part of the tribe, though.
There are people.
So-
There are
Wish.
people who put up trees, like their trees on Christmas Eve, only for one day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so anyways, enough of that.
Insane.
Let's get into some cabin chatter for real.
Find some charity, ye lad. Now's the time for gab and chatter.
Gab and Chatter, where we talk about movie news, movie discussions, and what have you. Pete, what do you have for us today?
Okay, so I don't have a news story today, but instead we have a special guest. Yes, absolutely. So I was connected on Bluesky, the new social media app that took Twitter out of the top ranking. It's like the number.
Has it really?
It's like the number one downloaded app, like with a bullet.
Wow.
The only next one is Minecraft. I was connected with Amanda Jane Stern, who is the writer, producer, and star of the movie just came out this November, Perfectly Good Moment. It's available on Amazon Prime for rental and on Tubi.
Oh, AJ Stern, yeah.
AJ Stern, yes, the one and only. So this movie it's like a sexual psychological sort of drama, and it's really pretty fascinating. And we have Amanda on the back line right now. What's up, Amanda? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, great! Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you're in New York City right now?
I am. I'm based in Brooklyn. I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised. So
Oh, cool.
She's a New Yorker.
Yeah, great.
But
great
no one
accent.
talks like that anymore.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the days of the exaggerated East Coast vernacular and like accent, it feels like it's all melting together.
Yeah, there are still people who have it. They're older. It's not really anyone, I guess, under
All the boomers
Like
have
40,
it.
140, something like
the
that.
yeah,
boomers.
not even. I think 40 is still is too young now. I would
Really?
say 45 basically.
45,
So
50.
my grandfather has an old New York accent because he grew up on the Lower East Side and he is Italian, so he has the Italian New Yorker accent.
Nice. I love it.
Yep, he fully sounds that way. But then my other grandfather is also from New York, but he's British.
Oh.
So he has he grew up in a household with very strong Queen's English accents.
Oh, cool.
But grew up in old New York City. So he has this weird combination.
It's like transatlantic almost.
It is exactly transatlantic.
Oh, that's great. Love it.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Great to see you, Amanda.
It's so strange.
You should
Yeah.
get him as a cameo in your next project.
Nice.
So the movie is called Perfectly Good Moment, and I'm just going to read the synopsis of IMDb. Ruby and David have been on and off for 8 years. 6 months after Ruby last ran out on him, she's returned. But Ruby has more in store than just a reunion. Yes, I had no idea where the movie was going. I think you and I chatted a little bit after I watched it. Loved it. And yeah, when you know that something's coming, but what that is surprising, and I won't really reveal any of that, so the audience can go in fresh. But why? Tell us a little bit about the project. Like, what drove you to write, produce, and star in this?
Yeah, I love contained thrillers as a genre. I come from a theater background, so I'm very big on the single location, small cast kind of thing. I love old dark house horror movies and mysteries where people get stuck in a location for it's if you survive the night in this house, you win $1 million.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. So those are films that I watch all the time. So the idea of setting something just in one location is always kind of on the top of my mind. And then I have to tell myself, hey, don't do that again. So I wrote this during the pandemic, kind of not during the lockdown, but as that was ending, as people were getting vaccinated and as sets were opening up again. So I wrote this then, and that was also part of the, okay, sure, we could finagle our way and have a bigger set, and have more characters, or we could really just do the one location, two character thing and not have to worry about so much, because the rules from SAG were very, very strict about COVID. Yeah. So I figured let's just do that. And I was just kind of sitting, staring into space, looking at my bookcase one day, and one of the first scenes kind of came to me. And so I thought, okay, well, I guess this is an idea I have. What is the idea? Where is it going? Who are these characters? What is the story I want to tell? And I don't even know that the original intent was for it to end up being a thriller. But then as I was writing it and kind of figuring out who these characters were, I realized I knew the man that I was writing in David, and it had to be a thriller. And I wrote it for myself. Obviously, I've been acting for a long time, and hey, if no one else is writing you lead roles, you might as well do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
And Steven, who plays my co-star, I had met him once. He plays Scar in The Lion King on Broadway.
I was going to say, he's great. Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff.
He's wonderful. But this was his first leading role in a film.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He'd only done one film before this, and it was Brideshead Revisited back in 2008, and he had like a 2-line part.
Wow. Yeah, he's very menacing in this.
Yes.
He kind of gives you the scumbag that you know you can't trust, but like on a very high level. I think that I think a lot of people would resonate and know someone like this in their real life. So
yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Is there any? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was
No,
going to say,
no,
is there any difficulties with being the star of your own project while also directing?
She didn't direct it.
Nope.
Oh,
Having written,
I'm sure there are. I did not direct it.
Oh, sorry.
Thank God.
Tyler is famously always well prepared for the show.
Yeah.
but having
now I'm crimson.
in the same, I guess, vein, having written the project, now same question, starring in it as well. Is that getting in that mindset of the character that you wrote? You had a vision for it when you wrote it, and then when you played that character, was it like lining up? I guess.
Yeah, there were definitely things when I wrote it that I thought it would be delivered one way, and then in rehearsal and working with Lauren, our director, and with Steven, and kind of working off of what he's giving me, because obviously, you know, when you just get sides in a script and you don't have your co-star, you interpret it one way, but if that's how you go in and act it, and that's not what is, you know, deserved coming from what your co-star is giving you, then you're not acting off of them, and you're not being receptive and listening. And part of rehearsing a film is seeing, okay, how are they interpreting this line? What are they giving you? And how do you play off of that? So there are definitely a lot of things that I had thought, oh, this might be the way I'll play this. And then I totally did a 180 because we were rehearsing it and it just made sense to do it a different way. But I think that's really fun. And that's why I love working with amazing directors who, you know, love the material that they're working off of and love being, you know, it's a collaborative environment. And if you don't want to be collaborative, I mean, that sucks.
Get off set.
Right, because films really should be. And this was so much fun to work with Steven and Lauren. And because, as I said, you know, things were still shut down, we were able to rehearse a lot. And films don't usually get to do that.
Yeah.
But they'd come over to my apartment every single night for like 2 months, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and we would just hash everything out. And that it was so nice to do that.
Now, how did you come in contact with Lauren Greenhall, the director?
By chance. I did not write this for her or with any director in mind, which I realize is a crazy thing to do because it's it's an indie movie, so you know you're going in and you don't have a huge budget. And it's also so specific. And I wrote it the script itself is very detailed, and all of the lighting schemes are written into the script.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of the stage directions are written into the script. And sometimes, you know, you get a director who's more a director for hire, and they just take what's on the page and they just do that, and that's fine. And there's no problem with that. But I didn't want that. I wanted a director who would read the script and say, okay, well, let's take this and do even more,
Amp
you
it
know,
up,
and
yeah.
bring their own
cool.
spin to it. And the woman who ended up being the colorist on the film, Emily Bailey, She grew up with the producer, Julian Seltzer, who co-wrote the story with me. He sent her the lookbook and the script as kind of a, hey, maybe we can hire you to do the color too. Because she has been on the team that did the color for Black Bear, for The Invisible Man. She's real good, she knows her stuff.
Yeah.
And she and Lauren have been working together for many years. They met at some women's film collective several years ago. And Emily is Lauren's go-to colorist. And so she sent the stuff. Yeah. She sent the material to Lauren as a, hey, I know that you want to do a feature and you haven't done a feature yet. This is super different than anything you've done, but hey, take a look.
Yeah.
And she emailed us and she said, hey, I have this director, Lauren Greenhall, and she's really interested. She's never done a feature. She's never done a thriller. She comes from the comedy and documentary world.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yep. Oh, yeah. But are you interested in talking to her? And
I will say I had a couple of moments when the reveal happens near the end where I had got some good laughs because I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
What is happening?
Oh, it's funny. It is.
Yeah.
We're towing some weird lines because it is very blackly comic, almost to a level of camp that you probably don't expect in a movie like this.
No, it was when you actually get the reveal once the
yep.
Once the turn happens in the third act, I was like, again, I didn't know exactly where it was going, but I'm like, okay, this is not anything that I was expecting. So, and for the audience, we're being very cryptic about it, but
yeah.
I mean, the movie is very sexual, very sensual, very intimate. And, that's, there's a lot of on-screen chemistry and just very visceral. And the turn goes in a very different direction. So, I think maybe even some of the editing, the timing of the edits made it have that black comedy aspect to it.
Oh yeah. And I think that's kind of what happens when you have as many women and queer people on the set that we did. It was directed by a woman. I'm a queer woman and I wrote this. We had an intimacy coordinator. They're queer. Our editor is a queer guy.
Yeah.
So there's lot of that.
Yeah. Not only is the intimacy coordinator queer herself, her name is Acacia DeQueer.
Yes. That's okay. That's
amazing.
Obviously, that's their stage name.
I know. I just read that and I'm like, how perfect.
Yes, it is. They come from a burlesque background.
Oh, they do. Great.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
It is. It really is.
So
yes,
Joseph has worked on a number of shorts. I helped out, just help on crew for the last one they did together. And as I was watching this, I was thinking, I know this is a very indie project. I would have to imagine there's an intimacy coordinator because there is a lot of boundaries being crossed between actors. And
yes.
You kind of forget about that sometimes when you're watching like a big budget Hollywood movie and you're just like, oh yeah, they're professionals. They can, make out and grope each other and whatnot. But I feel like when you're on this very small set in a very intimate crew, it's just because you're pressing record on the camera doesn't mean it stops being, strange that you're making out with and completely gyrating with this stranger that you may have just met just a couple months ago. So when you sent the information over about the production, I was like, oh, great. And this intimacy coordinator has a lot of big thoughts about it. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote the script and I knew off the bat we're having an intimacy coordinator. That's not even a question.
Right away.
Have to, yeah.
Yes.
Necessary.
I think they are the third crew member that we hired, actually.
Smart.
We had our colorist first by chance, and then through our colorist, our director, and then Acacia was the next person we brought on. I think it was Acacia and our cinematographer, Matt.
Yeah. So then I'll kind of skip what I was going to, because we just kind of talked about the sexual nature of it, but the fact that you had Stephen Carlisle, and he's such an accomplished stage actor, I think it even elevates the project to, a level that was, it's so much hangs on his performance and your performance. And I think you guys both hit it out of the park. So
thank you. I love him. I loved working with him. He's so game. We were not friends before this movie.
I'm sure you're very close now.
We are very close now. Yes.
I like the way you phrased that. We weren't friends. We were enemies.
Yeah. he was my rival.
We'd only met once, actually. Before this, I saw him perform one night and we hung out after, and that was it. And then I write write this script for him, and I text him and I say, "Hey, buddy, been a while. Want to make a movie?
Hey, buddy.
Call me." Yeah, no, that's the phrasing.
Read it. We're gonna be really close soon.
Well, so his first reaction was, "Oh yes, I'll play the lead in your movie." And then when I come back and I say, "Okay, well, let's look at shoot dates. We have a director." He read it again, and that's when he read all the stage direction.
Yeah.
And he gets back to me and he goes, "By the way, I've only ever had one stage kiss before."
Oh wow. Wow.
I know.
He's an expert
Shocking.
now.
He's an expert now.
Definitely, that's for sure. Yeah. And I said, "Well, that's fine. We'll make sure that this is comfortable for both of us. And also, we're hiring an intimacy coordinator. So whatever needs to be changed or toned down, we will do the work."
Or
and
toned
nothing
up.
did end up being changed, actually. I think there's
Nice.
some things that got pushed further than
Yeah,
they
there you
were in
go.
the script.
Pro.
And that is because we had the intimacy coordinator, and because we rehearsed so much, and because it was such a safe environment that we felt comfortable doing that.
Well, it's a great project. It's a great movie. And it's available on Tubi right now. So for our audience, go out and check it out on Tubi. It's the best place you can find it. You don't even have to pay a dime for it, and it helps the filmmakers. We're big fans of indie film on here on the show, and we'll promote it anytime we can. But do you have anything you wanted to leave our audience with before maybe like what your next project is? Anything on the horizon?
Yes. I'm trying. Okay, I have a movie that came out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm in a movie called A Brooklyn Love Story. It's a broad comedy, so wildly different than Perfectly Good Moment. I have a small comedic part in it. That's on Amazon, and that just came out yesterday. And then I have a horror script called Beast with Two Backs, much more in line with my Perfectly Good Moment stuff. Yeah, that was an Austin Film Fest second rounder and is currently a quarter finalist in the Screencraft horror screenplay competition.
Cool. Great.
Yeah. And then I have a short that just got into a film festival, but I don't know if we can announce it yet. So
That's
there's
fine.
a thing.
Yeah. So go put Amanda Jane Stern on your radar and go watch Perfectly Good Moment on Tubi.
Nice.
And I will add, because I know you were asking about what it was like on set.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't sexually charged on set at all,
I'm
actually.
sure.
It was like Steven and I would, every time Lauren would yell cut, and Steven and I are actors who we break immediately. We are only in character when we're doing scenes.
Yeah.
And when we're not, we're just ourselves. We'd just be goofing off. We'd be telling each other stories and laughing and joking about things. I remember there was one bit where we're doing a scene and he had to be on his knees and his head's like in my chest. And Lauren yells cut just to reset camera. And she's like, "Steven, if you want to stand now and stretch." And he's like, "No, I'm not standing. My knees hurt. It's going to hurt too much to stand and then get back down." So he's just staying there in position. And I'm like, "Okay, do you want me to stay or are you going to fall if I leave?" He's like, "No, stay or else I'm going to fall." And he just starts singing.
He's singing?
He's just, in between takes, he'd just be like singing.
Oh, hey, that's a good way to break the tension.
But yeah, we'd be downing cold brew cans and seltzer cans, and then we'd hide Listerine strips all over set, and then we just joke about anything else and tell each other things about our family and like our siblings and all of that.
Oh, that's great. I love it. So go watch the movie, everybody. And Amanda, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a delight.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah, she's great. And the movie's good too. So, I mean, honestly, go out and watch
the name again?
Perfectly Good Moment.
Okay.
A perfectly good moment.
And it stems from basically the character of David's an abusive ex. And I won't reveal really anything about it, but she leaves him and then comes back many months later. And his whole thing is like, he's being a dickhead, and she says something, something realistic, something like, hey, Dan, that's a little too aggressive. Don't talk to me like that. And he's like, why do you have to go and waste a perfectly good moment? Why get to ruin a perfectly good moment?
Oh,
there it is. There's the word.
is.
They said the name. They said the name. Yeah. So, anyways, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And that is all I have for my segment.
All right. Joseph, what do you have for us today?
I have one news story, but I want to do some. I have breaking news.
Ooh, all right.
In regards to this, only this podcast.
Oh.
So I got a text right before we started streaming.
Oh, really?
From one listener / cool ass yard duty.
Oh, yeah? Which one?
Javier.
Oh, Javi.
I actually saw Javier last week.
Oh, cool.
Went and had some ramen
Nice.
and hung out for a bit. And it was cool. It was cool to see him. But he sent me a text message right before we started streaming.
Okay.
And I'm going to read it verbatim.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Actually, I'll skip the first sentence.
Okay.
It's nice to know that after 2 years of being a cool-ass yard duty, having Middle Class Film Class as my top podcast 3 years running in Spotify Wrapped, and being a special guest 4 times, that now I'm finally enough for him to follow.
Who? Javier?
That would be one host, Tyler,
Oh,
who
God.
finally followed him back on Instagram.
4 years it took.
2 years of being a cool-ass yard duty.
He just texted you that.
on your free time?
Breaking news. I followed
Literally,
him back.
literally our first Patreon subscriber from the beginning.
Proof that my life is now complete. What a way to end the year.
2025
Wow.
is your year, Javi.
Yeah. And he sent me screenshots. He sent me screenshots of
Screenshots.
his top podcast
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at that.
of the 3. And that's 3 years.
No.
3 years running. in
This
a row.
guy is a piece of shit.
And then
Tyler.
I didn't say.
and then Tender.Dracula. You can't really see it, but
Yeah.
following him on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. This guy is a piece of shit. I
Tyler,
didn't say
stop
that.
saying that.
I didn't say that.
He's our biggest supporter.
Well, Javier, you have the privilege to have my follow on Instagram.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad I could cap the year off with this.
You blessed
blessing
him,
for you.
You blessed him with a follow.
Yeah, I did. Actually, it's funny is today, like I didn't know he was following me, and then I saw my suggestions, and I saw him, and it said follow back, and I was like, I'm not following him, and then I just clicked follow back.
Well,
Yeah,
it's that it was that easy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Out of all these years. Anyway, into my news story, my actual news story. So there's one actor in Christopher Nolan's 10 movies that 11 movies.
Yeah.
That he's made that has not had one specific actor repeat. Because he's been known to have the kind of similar casts in the movies.
Scorsese-esque like that.
And then
Sandler-esque.
kind of like introducing new people into the world of Nolan movies, and then kind of like almost like cycling through them.
Yeah, the greats tend to do that. You got the Wes Andersons of the world, the Martin Scorseses, and the Adam Sandlers.
Quentin Tarantino.
The greats.
Adam Sandler, directors or actors?
Both.
Well, I guess Adam Sandler's not technically an actor, or a director, but it's an Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Happy Madison.
You know,
production.
You know it's an Adam Sandler movie.
Rob Schneider's going to be somewhere.
Yeah, like I don't
I don't
consider.
think he's going to be anywhere near a Sandler movie.
No, he still is. He's still doing shit.
Really?
Yeah, he's been a right wing.
He has work?
He's right. Yeah, he's been a right wing because of Sandler.
Ever since The Animal.
Yeah, he got the hot chick and the animal.
Yeah.
Actually,
Deuce Bigelow.
I don't think that those were Sandler's.
Deuce Bigelow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Anyway, so Christopher Nolan's one-time star wasn't allowed to reunite with the Oscar-winning director due to a harsh demand from a Warner Brothers executive.
Whoa,
What?
And
blackballed.
Can you guess what actor that was?
Ewan
I'm
McGregor.
trying to think early.
He only appeared in
Nolan.
one movie.
Ewan McGregor.
De Niro.
De Niro.
Yeah, wasn't he in Insomnia?
That's Pacino.
Pacino. That's what I meant.
No, not Pacino.
Ewan McGregor.
What was he in?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name.
Let's see. Early. Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce.
Oh wow,
Guy Pearce.
I got it.
Guy Pearce was barred from working with Christopher Nolan.
That's crazy.
Why?
Yes, because of a Warner Brothers executive. During a recent interview with Vanity Fair, Pearce, because he's in The Brutalist coming out.
Oh yeah.
Pearce reveals that the reason he hasn't worked with Nolan since Memento is because he found himself the target of a Warner Brothers executive's dislike. The executive made his feelings known in a frank conversation with his agent, and it meant that roles in Batman Begins and The Prestige were off the table.
Wow, that's weird.
End quote. When he was asked if he stays in touch with Nolan, he says, "Not really, but he spoke to me about roles a few times over the years, the first Batman and The Prestige. But there was an executive at Warner Brothers who quite openly said to my agent, I don't get Guy Pearce. I'm never going to get Guy Pearce. I'm never going to employ Guy Pearce." So in a way, that's good to know. I mean,
what?
Fair enough. There are some actors I don't get, but it meant I could never work with Chris Nolan.
Nolan.
So, and then as we all know, what happened over the last 2 years, that Nolan separated from Universal because of
Guy Pearce.
Yeah, because of that reason.
Yeah.
You don't like my friends?
I don't get Guy. I don't do any business.
So, following Tenet's disappointing box office when it first was released, the company decided to send all of its theatrical films scheduled for 2020 straight to Max due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And then Nolan then shared some harsh words about Max, calling it the worst streaming service. And he subsequently took Oppenheimer to Universal Pictures. And Nolan's next movie is also Universal. And then we all know about the check that he cashed.
Yeah.
And that while still sticking with Universal. It's not clear if the executive Pierce is referring to is still at Warner Brothers, but if Nolan stays at Universal for his future projects, it's entirely possible a reunion with Pierce could be on the cards.
Okay.
Because he's not with Warner Brothers.
It's kind of a weird situation to be with your employer saying, I don't like you and you're not going to work with this specific person.
I mean,
you're still employed with that person, but you can't work with this person that was also employed.
But not employed with them. He's just a person in the world. Like we have people at our work that are blackballed by insurance companies. They're like, this person can't write for us. You know, this guy right here, him, he can't write for Liberty Mutual.
Okay.
And you're like, why? Like, we have our reasons. Okay.
We don't get him.
Yeah, we don't get him. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I can't hire them at our shop now because I need a Liberty Mutual writer.
Yeah.
It's strange.
It's crazy.
It's strange.
And it is weird because that's such a weird critique or criticism of someone. It's like,
there's probably more to it.
I mean, there definitely is, but like, we don't have any more context to it. It's like, I don't get him. Like, you don't get him. Like, you don't get like why people like him, or you don't get why people like hire him. You don't get.
But I can also see like
what's up with the name Guy?
I know. Guy, what's the next? What's your sister's name? Girl?
It's
or
not
gal.
It's really not out of the realm of reality for an executive like just taking one look at you and like, yeah, I don't get you.
Yeah. It's. I mean, that's kind of what that industry is, right? It's like I don't like him for whatever reason, like superficial reason.
I just get a feeling. Yeah. I just don't like.
He's got bad vibes.
Yeah, he's got bad vibes.
That executive came to his house and Guy Pearce was in there and he's like, "That's my wife."
Yeah,
that's my wife.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
But yeah, so a potential collaboration with Guy Pearce and
could be
Nolan.
On the horizon.
Memento 2. He still can't remember.
Memento 2. I can't remember shit.
It's just gonna be about someone suffering from Alzheimer's.
The movie's going forward.
Oh, it's going forward.
This time they don't give the ending at the beginning.
Isn't Memento 2 just Tenet?
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Wow. Is it?
Maybe.
It's like maybe Memento is Tenet 1 because the movie's backwards, but it's like
look at that. I think you're onto something.
Wow. You really blew my mind there, Joseph.
Yeah. Great connectioning, man.
But yeah, so he could have been in the Batman Begins or the Prestige.
But instead he's in Prometheus.
He's in Prometheus.
Playing an old dude.
Cosplaying as an old man.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And he was in The Time Machine.
Oh, man.
That he was?
Yeah, he was. Traveling through time in a machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have.
Hopefully they have a collaboration in the future with Universal Studios. Maybe they'll be more benevolent. I think I'm using that word correctly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Benevolent is good. BEN is good.
Yeah. Good.
Like benign cyst.
Benign.
It's not bad. It's good. If
Do you think people named Benjamin like that's like a good name then?
Yeah, it means the Goodman.
Yeah.
It's not like Conjamin.
It's like Malman.
Okay.
How come they call it The Conjuring then? I guess it's bad.
Yeah,
Not the
because it's a con.
Not the
We
Benjuring.
can conjure up good things.
I guess so. But
mean,
con is bad.
I
right?
think-
pros and cons.
Conjure.
Why do they call it the pro-during?
I don't know. The pro-juring.
If they were to bring an angel back, it would be a
But
the
if
pro-juring.
so like prolapse, that's a that's a bad thing.
Pro is out.
Con lapse.
Yeah. I don't know. The
My ass is collapsed right now.
yeah. Well, I mean,
for good reason.
like collapse. Like, I don't know.
All right, we're really getting off topic here.
We are. We are.
What kind of show are you leading, Tyler?
Well, the show I'm leading is going to be coming from the HollywoodReporter.com. So
Okay.
obviously everyone knows about the movie Barbie. There's a lot of
okay.
black and white camps of people who hate the movie because it's quote unquote woke, or people who love the movie because it's just a really great movie by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. So obviously it made $1.4 billion in the box office.
It's crazy.
Again, Christopher Nolan has to thank for that too, because Oppenheimer, like there was like this weird duality between Barbie and Oppenheimer in the summer of 2021.
Yeah, Barbenheimer.
That was such a weird time in movies.
It was strange, yeah.
Because I feel like there was like an anxiety in the entertainment industry, like, well, how are we going to generate? Because summer is like where everyone sees like, like big blockbusters and stuff like that. But there wasn't really like any movies coming out in that year that was going to be considered like a blockbuster hit. So they just latched on to Barbie, which was a very colorful movie. And then Oppenheimer, which was a very bombastic,
they're
sort of
opposites
movie.
of each other.
And so they just
In a
like,
way.
so the powers that be just said, let's just do this Barbie Oppenheimer sort of weird chemistry thing. And
Is this your story, Barbenheimer?
no, I was just commentating on like how weird it was in that time. And so obviously it made a lot of money. And so what is the studio going to do? They're going to ask for a sequel. So a Barbie sequel is in early stages with Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and they're settling on a story idea. There's no details coming out about the story, but it's happening. Obviously, it was going to happen because it made so much money, and I'm all for it. As everyone who has been listening to the show for a while, I have been a very big I don't like sequels.
Okay.
I don't like sequels. And so when I heard a Barbie sequel was coming out, I was thinking to myself,
You were angry.
That was my initial reaction. I was just like, why make a sequel for Barbie? Like, it ended on a perfectly good note. Like, it was just a one and done. That's all it had to be. And now they're doing a second one. And as soon as I saw the title, a sequel to Barbie, God damn it. Of course they would do that. But then I started thinking to myself, well, if Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are going to be heading this project, I have faith, because I think Greta Gerwig is just a national treasure in Hollywood. And so I think to myself, well, how can you make a Barbie sequel? What would that look like? And I was going to ask you guys, like, what you think a Barbie sequel would look like.
I don't think there should be one.
But
I think it was
That's not the question.
I think it was a perfectly fine story from the get-go, and
that's what I said too.
one and done.
What? So like,
But there's so
Gun
much
to your head.
there's so much money available that I know it's going to happen. I don't know. She has a kid.
Barbie?
Yeah, Barbie has a kid.
Oh yeah, she gets a.
She goes to a gynecologist at the end, so you know how the pipes work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, it's I don't know. I think that could be it, or maybe there's a
it's really funny that you mentioned
cross
that.
universe merging. The G.I. Joe universe comes here or something.
It's really funny. It's funny that
Hot Wheels.
It's funny that you mentioned the kid aspect, because that was my thought. I was thinking, okay, so where can they go with the Barbie story? Like, they have like the whole relationship. Now we're gonna go into the family aspect of it all.
Yeah,
because they have that. Because like,
I imagine Don Draper's in the office pitching it to the studio executives, and he's like, "All right, Barbie 2, get this, one word, we copy Toy Story."
But you have to do it as Don Draper. You have to be like,
I did. That was my best Don Draper impression.
no, this is a John. You have to be like,
There we go.
what about Barbie has a kid? You know, everyone's having kids right now, right? You know, that's what it is. That is what everyone wants. They want the nuclear family.
I think we need to punch up your Don Draper a little bit. While we're on
Awful Draper, says Joe Bridges.
Yeah. Joe Bridges says awful Draper.
Oh, fine. I can't. They can't all be winners.
Yeah. Also, Heather says, number 1, my ass is con-lapsed right now. Should be on a t-shirt.
Okay.
Con-lapsed asshole. She also says that she watched Barbenheimer same day in the theater, and there was a ton of people who did the same thing. Yes, there you go. Joe Bridges wants more. I know he says he doesn't want more impressions, but he wants more impressions. I think we should bring back your Jamaican impression.
Or the Asian one. That was really good.
Yeah. Tyler, every day before we start the show, he's this constantly doing this like crazy Asian impression.
Do that thing with the eyes that you did.
For the safety of our show not being kicked off of YouTube, I will not express my racial.
You should hear the pre-show.
You left some black makeup right there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just. Anyways,
what else?
So
what's next?
What's next is streaming picks.
Well, what I think about the Barbie.
Okay.
Movie.
Well, you didn't say anything. I asked both of you, and Pete answered. I answered. You didn't say anything.
Well, yeah, because you guys were talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
like a rude person.
Okay. Well, what do you think a Barbie sequel would look like?
I don't know.
Movies.
You want to watch a movie?
Yes, I do. Disney Plus. Oh, HBO Max.
If I don't get the pick, show's over.
I have grown accustomed to Hulu Plus.
Amazon Prime.
I like Netflix.
You found the pick.
Streaming picks, movies that we watched on our favorite streaming services for this week. Pete, what do you have for us this week?
Okay, so I'm low on streaming picks this week.
Wow.
Reason why I got Minecraft, and I've been like losing myself in the mines. The children yearn for the mines.
Yeah.
And
I'm a child at heart.
In this moment, I am a child. Yeah. I got my Christmas winter sweater on because I'm feeling all festive, but I will not say Merry Christmas until the 25th. Out of principle. So the movies that I watched this week, number 1 is streaming currently on Max. It's a new release, Beetlejuice from 2024, directed by Tim Burton, starring all the usual suspects: Michael Keaton, Jenna Ortega, Catherine O'Hara, and the ghost of Jeffrey Jones. I think this guy's name is the redheaded guy who was a pedophile. Yeah. His
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder's in it, and Justin Theroux.
Okay.
Also,
Willem Dafoe,
Monica Bellucci as well, and Danny DeVito has a short cameo in it as well. And this is probably the most unnecessary sequel. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it also just wasn't great.
I'd argue Gladiator 2 was.
You know what? You got me there. On a scale of
necessary sequels or unnecessary?
On the
sequels?
scale of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish to Gladiator 2, this was somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
It's basically the storyline is that Winona Ryder now is like a medium. She's grown up, obviously, and she's like this. She has a TV show. It's like, Contact with the Great Beyond or whatever, and she's known.
She capitalized off.
Yeah, she made their money off it. And Justin Theroux is her fiance-ish sort of guy who you're not sure if he's like taking advantage of her or is really believes in her, that sort of thing. And then her daughter is Jenna Ortega, and she's just as spooky and dark and brooding as Winona Ryder was. Maybe a little bit less brooding.
Tracks.
Yeah, and then Catherine O'Hara is also, she's now a famous artist. Her sculptures sell for millions now. She's doing interactive like theater art pieces and stuff. Her character's interesting and fun. But for the most part, everybody else is kind of lame. Willem Dafoe plays a dead man. He's in the ghost world, and he used to be a police officer. Scratch that. He used to be an actor who played a police officer.
Oh, okay.
So he has one of the great running gags is he has a dead assistant who's constantly bringing him coffee right before he starts talking, like a police chief or whatever. And it's at one point he's, you're like, oh, she's there again. Just bringing him coffee again. He takes one drink and like throws it on the ground. And then you look down, there's a pile of coffee cups, paper coffee cups.
Funny.
And then there's a couple scenes when he's like addressing the troops because he's leading the task force that's going to go find Beetlejuice because Beetlejuice committed some sort of, underworld crime or something.
This afterworld
crime
felony.
And he's addressing the troops, basically this rogue band of dead police officers. And as he's giving his speech, that woman is in the back with cue cards because he's an actor, which that tickled me. I love that. It was great. But something about it just didn't quite. I was really wanting to have a really fun time, and I've loved the original Beetlejuice. It's so good. I feel like Keaton did okay, but the way they wrote his character wasn't nearly as didn't have that hard edge to him. He felt like he lost his fastball a little bit.
Okay,
the character, not Keaton, because Keaton, it's kind of weird saying that, but I felt like Keaton was doing what he was asked to do.
Is it more just like the writing?
Yeah, a little bit of the writing, and
did they PG it up? Because the first one, he's very raunchy.
No, it was good. There's some gore. There's some like a lot of bloody stuff happening, and there's a Beetlejuice baby at one point, which is very disgusting. But the biggest problem with this is that there's like 5 separate storylines, and none of them really get the full time to breathe. There's a boy love interest of Jenna Ortega's character. There's Beetlejuice creating like a rift into the afterworld when he's not supposed to, and there's Winona Ryder and Justin Theroux's relationship, and whether or not he's using her or not. And then Jeffrey Jones, who was the dad in the first one, his character's in it, but he's bitten in half by a shark, so he's only top half his body's missing the whole time, and he's just wandering around the underworld and stuff. There's just pants, blood squirting out of his like torso. It's like literally a cartoonish like shape missing out of his upper body, and but they could have just like killed him off and never visited him again.
Yeah,
but they're clearly avoiding putting Jeffrey Jones in the movie.
Yeah,
but his character's there. Why not kill him off and then just never show him again? They keep cutting back to his character wandering around the underworld for fucking no reason.
He doesn't have any lines or anything.
No, he's literally a lower half. He's like it's blood gurgling out of his like gullet.
So they have him, but no Gina Davis or
no, they're not in it at all.
That's weird. That's a weird choice.
But well, because they're already. I mean,
their story was complete at that point.
They wouldn't have aged at all. The only person that in the real world that aged in the universe that shouldn't is Beetlejuice, and he's covered in makeup, so you can't tell that Michael Keaton aged. He looks the same. So I'm not saying don't watch it, and just don't go in with super high expectations. If your expectations are low, maybe you'll enjoy it more than I did, but it was fine.
That was on Hulu?
No, it's on HBO Max.
Oh, HBO Max.
It's on Max, yeah. So that's Beetlejuice on Max. The next one was a recommendation from our old pal Heather. This is called A Clüsterfünke Christmas. A Clüsterfünke Christmas. It's got the umlauts over the U's. It's streaming on Paramount Plus. And this is a parody Christmas movie. It's basically a parody of every Hallmark type Christmas movie, those cheesy Christmas movies.
Yeah.
The main character, she was super charming. Character's name is Holly, of course, Christmas. And she is works for a hotel chain, and her job is to go out and procure small town hotels and convert them to the large ski chalets and like.
Oh, so she's like a shark or something.
Pretty much, yeah. So she goes out, and her boss sends her on a lead 3 days before Christmas or whatever to go out and buy this hotel on this remote place in Maine. And she flies out there, takes the train out there, and it's like small town. They don't drink coffee. They only have hot cocoa. And she's from the big city. She's from New York. They basically
I want some coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone got coffee?
And surprisingly, she talks like that too. Like everyone from New York.
Coffee. I'm from the Bronx.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the cast. Vella Lovell plays Holly. Cheyenne Jackson, Anna Gasteyer, Rachel Dratch. They're the 2 old biddies that run the inn. Ryan McPardon, Maya Rudolph. She plays a version of Mariah Carey, like a knockoff Mariah Carey. They have an in-universe song that's, at one point, I'll give you a good example of the type of comedy in this. At one point, the main character is sitting in her big city apartment, and she's trying to get festive for Christmas, and she goes, Alexa, play All I Want for Christmas Is You from Mariah Carey. And it says, I'm sorry, we can't afford the rights to that song. Here's this. And they play something else, and it's a knockoff of that, and it's Maya Rudolph playing as what her character is Shania Gray instead of Mariah Carey.
Shania Gray.
There's a bunch of other people you might recognize in this, but it knows exactly what it is. 100% tongue in cheek, very take the piss out of that trope of Christmas comedies.
Yeah.
And there's a character who plays, what is his name? His name is Percy, maybe? Yeah, that's it, Percy. He's a very flamboyantly gay character, and they won't acknowledge the fact that he's gay. He keeps acting like he's gonna like confess because he's in this small town. He hasn't told anybody he was gonna confess to her, and then he confesses that he likes coffee and he really wants a coffee.
I like
exactly.
coffee.
It's like I really just want to put some sorry, my throat is really dry. Some coffee in my mouth, something like that. And it is. I know that you're facetiously laughing over there, but it's done very well.
I'm sure it is.
And every one of the characters who's in this small town, they have this little market, and it's like we sell vases and we sell clothes, and his is called Percy's Closet, and he goes, hold on, I gotta go back in the closet real quick, and he goes into his like little hut or whatever where he's got his vintage clothes in there.
That's funny.
It's really good. So yeah, it's like a 3.5 star movie, probably close to a 3-star movie, but it's just the joy factor of it, I don't think translates to the rating because it's not like an expertly crafted movie, but it is very funny.
Okay.
Okay, so that is streaming on Paramount Plus, called the Clüsterfünke Christmas. That's the name of the inn, Clüsterfünke.
Is it Paramount Plus?
Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus.
I am continuing on my Werner Herzog journey through my Werner Herzog discography set that I've got. And the next up on the list is called Land of Silence and Darkness. Yes, and this is very accessible. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, Fandor.
This is very accessible. It's streaming on Amazon Prime.
Joe Bridges, can we get a rating of that review of that impression, please? Streaming on Freevee, Canopy, and Plex and Shout TV and Fandor. So Amazon Prime's the easiest place to get it, but if you don't have that, Freevee is also available, and that's free. Plex is free. Tubi's free. Roku.
-4.
Out of what? Out of what?
A 10, I guess. I don't know. 5.
So this movie here, the plot of it is basically, it follows a woman who's like she's sort of an activist for the deaf and blind community. And she's in Germany, Bavaria sort of region. And this is from 1971. So she's been doing this since probably the 30s or the 40s or something.
Out of
like
a billion. Damn.
Well, technically, if it's -4 out of a billion, the -4 is less impactful. If it's a -4 out of 5, that's worse. -4 out of 3. So anyways, so the characters, her name is, and she's not a character, it's a real person. Her name is Finny Strobinger. Strobinger? Yeah. Barely knew her. And basically it's a documentary that's following her real life. And it follows her and some of her like coworkers or other people that are also blind and deaf that are going out to these remote villages and rest homes and like insane asylums and stuff, and meeting with people who are blind and deaf and teaching them how to communicate. And then she created, I don't know if it was her that created it or somebody, but they created a series of like motions on the palm of your hand to be able to spell things like Morse code kind of. But it's like with swipes and taps on different fingers or grabbing and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they don't tell you any of that in the beginning. They just throw you in and you're just instantly following her. And it's like her and her like blind deaf old lady friend. And they hop on a plane and it shows them like being led to the plane. It's the first time they flew or whatever. And they're just, I'm thinking, if I'm blind and deaf and I'm jumping into a fucking plane, it's going to blow my mind, I'm going to be terrified. And this is in 1970.
Yeah, that would be really overstimulating.
They're hopping in this Cessna and they're like talking to each other, and the one's like holding her hand back so she can like type a message on her hand out. And you're like, what are they doing? What is this? And as the story goes on, you get fed more and more. Expertly crafted documentary from Werner. And I don't know why I doubted him, but like for the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, I was like, this is boring.
Come on, Werner.
This is boring. What are you doing here? But by the end, all of my questions were answered. I felt like I saw a part of humanity that was just not made for me, and I'm better for it because of it. This woman is a saint, plain and simple. Absolutely. It's sad to think that there are people out there that, like, for her, she was born with both senses, all her senses.
Yeah.
And she said that her dad died when she was young. Her mom had to work multiple jobs, so she left her home as a kid. And when she was 9 years old, she fell down the stairs and fucked herself up real bad. And then slowly she started losing her vision. And then eventually she slowly started losing her hearing.
Gee, that must have been a crazy accident.
I know. So she had sight and she had vision, but she meets with people that were born with neither. And the difference between the two is shocking.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's a young man that she meets with who's 22, and I think he might have like mental impairment as well, but he's got to the point, like, he never learned to walk. He never learned to like chew hard food. They just give him like bananas to mush up in his mouth, and he can't communicate at all. And in true Werner fashion, there's a scene that is, it's insane how sad it is watching this guy, because
this man cannot eat.
No
impressions.
No voiceover, and also, no impressions. Not of Werner, please, dear God.
Practice on your own time.
Yeah.
All right.
Come back to the show when it's a good one.
All right.
That'll
be my first homework assignment.
How often? First one out of 5 years. How long have you been practicing that Don Draper?
Oh,
that was just off the cuff?
That was just off the cuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I just kept up with that.
Love it. Good planning.
Well, how about we have Tyler do
here we go.
Don Draper.
Is Don Draper in the room with us right now?
What is this?
So, but in true Werner fashion, this severely like handicapped young man, he looks like he's probably like 13 or 12, but he's 22.
Jesus.
And the camera is lingering on him for a good unbroken like 5-6 minutes.
Oh.
And he's just sitting in this room in, like they say, it's a land of silence and darkness, the name of the documentary. He can't hear anything, can't see anything. And he's like playing with this like plastic rubber sort of ball, and he's like smashing it into his head and slapping himself in the cheek just to like feel something, it seems like. And as she's trying to communicate with him, it's like, how do you even start to teach somebody who can't see or hear? He doesn't know who you are, what your intentions are,
what you sound like.
He doesn't know anything about you. And like, but she shows all these interesting things. Like, she's got to watch the lid. You can flip the lid up on it, and you can feel the time if you know the time, the dial. You know.
Yeah.
But then, like, trying to communicate the concept of time.
How do you do that?
It's a real rival situation.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's a man that she meets who his mom cared for him, and then when his mom died, his dad didn't give a shit anymore, and he basically removed himself from society and started living amongst the cows in the barns. Forgot how to talk, forgot how to speak and write, because he was sighted and hearing at one point in his life. And she meets with him and just like teaches him how to read again, or teach him how to speak again.
That's wild. This was in 1971?
Yes.
That's crazy.
What a wild documentary. So that's called The Land of Silence and Darkness.
Where does it take place?
Germany.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
is it like in a village or something?
They fly all over the place.
Oh, okay.
She's in her hometown, and then she goes out to some remote village where someone's losing their sight currently.
And where's she from? She's
Germany.
From Germany.
Yeah. And she's like trying to teach this person. It's like of the utmost importance. So she teaches him this new way to talk before she loses her hearing completely. Loses her sight completely.
And she is hearing and seeing in person.
No,
she's also suffers from.
Yes, she's the one
she
who
fell down a flight of stairs.
Oh, I thought it was her mom who fell down a flight of stairs.
No, the daughter, when she was 9, she fell down the stairs.
Okay.
And she started losing her sight when she was 13, and then hearing before she was 18.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really wild. So strong recommend. The Land of Silence and Darkness.
Blind leading the blind.
Yeah, for real. Quite literally. And then I watched not quite as good as Land of Silence and Darkness. This is Geiger, The Wrath of God, which is Werner's probably most famous movie from the 70s.
Fictional.
Yeah, it's a narrative.
Yeah.
This is his first movie he worked with Klaus Kinski, who became a regular contributor, just like what we were talking about earlier with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
The great Adam Sandler. This is the first project they'd worked on together. And apparently Werner saw Klaus in something, seeked him out when he was in a hotel out of town somewhere for a shoot, chatted him up like at the bar or whatever, and spent like 3 hours like heaping praise on him in order to get him to come work for him for this movie. And when you talk about shitty productions, like how terrible this production would be to be on, you think of The Revenant, think of The Life of Pi, the Lighthouse, Apocalypse Now, Aguirre, The Wrath of God has to be up near the top, because the technical difficulty of this movie, 5 stars, easy. They're trudging through remote rainforests in Peru. They're literally scaling the entire mountainside of this entire cast of people in this huge metal like conquistador gear, because it's a period piece from like the 1600s or whatever. The plot synopsis: a few decades after the destruction of the Incan Empire, a Spanish expedition led by the infamous Aguirre leaves the mountains of Peru and goes down the Amazon River in search of the lost city of El Dorado. It's absolutely insane, this movie, that they made this movie. There's the final shot of the movie is this fantastic, has to be either a boat shot or a helicopter shot. I think it's a boat. They zoom in on this because they have to fashion this raft out of logs. And when they were filming the movie, they literally had to make the rafts from scratch because the river flooded. It wasn't in the script. River just flooded and their entire set washed away. And they're like, all right, we're rewriting it on the spot. Everybody, all you locals, grab some axes, chop these fucking trees down. We're making rafts. And they did it. And then they filmed the rest of the movie on a fucking raft floating down the Amazon, flooded Amazon.
That is insane.
Absolutely insane. The end result, though, 3.5-star movie.
After all that blood, sweat, and tears, 3.5.
His like a highly high rated Herzog
yeah, some people consider it. It's got 4.1 on Letterboxd. The highest rating is number 4 is 4 stars, and then 4.5, and then 5. It's fantastic. I think Michael Elliott gave it 5 stars, all-time classic. But then Matt Stillman gave it 3.5 stars. So I'm in the Matt Stillman camp. Like, personal enjoyment, the overall of the movie, it left me a little cold. But just watching it and just knowing that these people were actually doing this shit was unfucking believable. So that is streaming. It's called Aguirre, Wrath of God. It's streaming on Amazon Prime also, and a million other places. Fubo, Plex, Tubi, History Channel, Fubo, Shout TV, Pluto, Fandor, Plex. Yeah, all that. Funny. Pretty much every place plus Amazon Prime. So
ESPN.
Worth watching. If you haven't seen it and you didn't know anything about it, I highly recommend it, even though it didn't give me like 5-star vibes.
Yeah.
You know, so just think about that and then think Werner basically sucked this guy's off to get him to work for this movie and then put him through fucking hell.
What did he do on the movie?
He was Aguirre.
Oh, he was the actor.
Klaus Kinski was Aguirre.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I'm probably butchering that name because, you know, in the native tongue, it's like Aguirre or Aguirre or something like that. Aguirre. But it's like Aguirre is the name. It's his last name.
Aguirre. I think
Aguirre, Wrath of God.
I think Aguirre is probably the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, and Joe is in the chat and he says, "You're in for something good with Fitzcarraldo if you think Aguirre looks hard to make." I know that's historically the harder one. Like, they built a giant river boat and had local like pygmies or something like that, like the local tribesmen. Literally drag it over a mountain and then down the mountain on the other side to get to the rudder.
I've heard of that story before, yeah.
So that's in the set.
It's like Sorcerer, but it's a boat.
Yeah, that's in the set. So I can't wait to get to that. And then the documentary that's Klaus Kinski, I think, is also in Fitzcarraldo, and the relationship between Werner and Klaus Kinski. He made a whole documentary about it called My Best Fiend, also in that next set. So I can't wait to watch those.
Nice.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right, Joseph, what did you watch this week?
Not a whole lot as well.
Also playing Minecraft?
No. I don't know what I was doing. But kind of an interesting collection of movies, mostly holiday movies. So the first one, not really a recommendation, but I've seen it before, but Deanna has not. From the great Adam Sandler, comes 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh,
his animated Hanukkah holiday movie.
Yeah,
where he plays a character who hates the world and the small town that he lives in. because he lost his parents when he was a young kid. And now he lives in a trailer on the outside of town, and he gets in some trouble with the police in the very beginning. And what I remember as a kid watching this was that the old ref, who basically takes him under his wing, it almost becomes his guardian.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't go to prison.
He's like the old man, right?
Yeah, he's the old man. Also played by Adam Sandler. This is streaming on Tubi and Paramount Plus, by the way. He basically tells the judge, like, why don't you just tell him to be a part of the youth or ref program or whatever?
Yeah.
And I'll teach him how to be a decent human being. And he's like, Whitey is his name, the old man. And he's got this Adam Sandler high-pitched voice.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the only thing I know about this.
And it's not very funny. It's very juvenile for sure. There's a really random part of the movie near the end where it turns into actually the whole movie is a musical.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I didn't know
is.
that.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs.
And there's this really kind of random part of a number near the end where they just start everybody in this room, this giant crowd of people, just starts going bum bitty 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 bum bum.
Oh, okay, great.
And I don't know if there's any
Fiddler on the Roof style
lore to that, other than just like it's Hanukkah. They're all Jewish. It's
having a good time.
Yeah.
Hanukkah. They're Jewish.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Jew. Yep. The whole movie.
And it's got obviously like the Sandler cast. It's got Adam Sandler, Jackie Sandler, Kevin Nealon, Rob Schneider, John Lovitz, Joe Dante? No.
Joe Dante.
Dylan Sprouse, Cole Sprouse, Tom Kenny, who plays SpongeBob, Carl Weathers. It's not a very good movie, but it was a holiday movie.
Sure.
And it was
one of the few Hanukkah movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then during the credits, the music is playing as Adam Sandler playing the Hanukkah song live from a concert. I feel like I had the DVD of this movie at one point because I remember there was like you could watch the performance, like there was a special feature, yeah. And then he just lists all the celebrities who are Jewish in the song. And then following that, another Adam Sandler movie, a much better Adam Sandler movie called The Longest Yard.
Oh,
which is a remake from a movie in the 70s starring Burt Reynolds, and this also has Burt Reynolds in it. And honestly, this movie like looks good. Like it's kind of a high production movie.
Yeah,
because you got Adam Sandler, you got Chris Rock, you got Burt Reynolds, you got Nelly.
I forgot Nelly's in it.
You got Stone Cold Steve Austin being racist, dropping the N-bomb.
It's funny because he's one of the more progressive of that, like
of the WWE,
the WWE ilk.
Yeah,
he's very much is like, you know, if you're a racist, then fuck you.
Yeah.
Stone Cold said so.
Yeah. Tracy Morgan, Cloris Leachman, Michael Irvin, Terry Crews, who loves McDonald's.
Who plays the little squirrely Italian guy in it? He's a famous actor. I can't remember his name though.
Oh, I think is he Italian or Mexican?
John Leguizamo.
It's not John Leguizamo. It sounds like him, but it's not him.
Yeah, and it's not John Leguizamo. I know it's not that. I'll look it up while you keep talking.
But basically, this movie, if you don't know the story, Adam Sandler plays a retired NFL football player, quarterback, who is kind of just he threw a pinnacle game in his career, and everybody hates him now for it. Mm-hmm. And in the very beginning of the movie, he is dating Courtney Cox, and he's just like
what a get.
He's like, you know, he's let himself go. He's drinking. He's eating junk food, and he goes drunk driving. And that's what gets him sent to prison. He goes to prison, and the warden of the prison has a prison guard football team, and there's a league within, I guess, the prison system. It's a football league.
It's the North American Prison League.
Yeah.
And the NFC.
And so the warden asks him to basically be a coach or a consultant, I guess, on the football team. He's like, yeah, I don't really want to do it. But then Kevin Nash, who's like the head prison guard, is like, look, the warden's going to ask you to do this. He's going to ask you to help on the football team. You're going to say no. Otherwise, I'm going to beat the shit out of you while you're here.
Because he doesn't want him to make the invade team better.
Yeah. And then the warden is like, you know what? Actually, you're going to assemble a team full of prisoners, and we're going to have like a scrimmage match, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole movie's leading up to.
No, it's not like they have anything better to do. They're just in prison.
That's a good point.
And then
let's create a pro football team.
And then the movie is just him. His first friend in prison is Caretaker, played by Chris Rock, who's able to just get stuff from outside the prison.
Oh, so he's like Red.
Yeah.
He's
the actor I was thinking of is Nicholas Turturro, John Turturro's brother, playing Brucey.
And then he slowly is actually building a team that is actually kind of going to be pretty good, because it was supposed to be just like the prison guards are just going to beat the shit out of the prisoners, the prisoner football team. But then it turns into like a bigger thing, and then he gets in a similar situation to what he was in when he was in the NFL, where the warden's like, "You're going to throw this game."
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, otherwise you're going to spend the next 25 years in prison.
What a conundrum.
For drunk driving, you're just spend 25 years.
Well, they can add on stuff for assault.
Yeah, they just make up shit while they're in prison.
Oh, you punched a guard. That's another 10 years.
Yeah, and then something happens between that where it's like, well, nobody saw you. Like, we have a witness that says you went in there and tampered with the stuff.
Exactly.
In the prison cell. So you can be here for the rest of your life.
I love the fellow human race.
I like this movie. It kind of reminds me of The Replacements, the Keanu Reeves one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie like looks good. Like from a cinematography standpoint.
Yeah.
Like there's some it's a comedy for sure, but it has like some dramatic, like almost like Shawshank type of lighting in some moment. I'm like, damn, this actually looks like really good. Like they took their time.
Dean Semler is the DP on this, and he also shot Apocalypto, Dances with Wolves, and The Road Warrior.
Makes sense.
Mel Gibson's guy.
My next stream pick is actually a follow-up, but is not a recommendation. The Longest Yard, I think, was streaming on Paramount Plus when I watched it.
Okay.
Via Apple TV. This next one, not great. Streaming on Netflix. Pete watched it. This is Dracula Untold.
Oh, ugh. Yeah.
And there was like some really cool visuals, like some really great visual moments in this movie. But overall, it was just like mid. It was very
It goes in weird places too.
Yeah, it changes the lore like quite a bit, I think, of Dracula. I mean, this is the untold story, right?
Yeah.
It should be called Retold.
Yeah. Dracula finally told. It's the tell-all.
But there's some really cool visuals in the movie. And if it wasn't a Dracula movie, maybe it would just be just a random vampire movie that just is on its own, lives on its own, but it has the Dracula name attached to it. So there has to be they do include some of the original like story of Dracula, like his wife dying, but they do it differently in this movie. It's like a Dracula origin story where he's like coming to like learning his powers.
Yeah.
And then he can turn into like a bunch of bats.
Yeah, when he does the bat swarm, I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and hit the bat like atom bomb thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a swarm of bats that just like
it's like a video game.
Yeah. But it was cool. Like the battle with the Turks. It was like a Lord of the Rings scale like battle going on, but with CG. But overall, it was not great. Going back to the holiday mode, watch Gremlins.
Oh yeah.
Always just a fun classic creature.
A lot of fun until they talk about how her dad died.
Yeah, I know. I forgot that was coming, and then when she started telling the story, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this really depressing,
hyper specific way of dying.
He died in the chimney dressed as Santa because he got stuck.
Christmas comes, no weenie whistle.
Because he broke his neck.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. So that's streaming on Max, I believe. Yes, but that and Gremlins 2, the new batch. Not a Christmas movie, but a Thanksgiving movie. I watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with
Classic.
Steve Martin and John Candy.
First watch?
No, I've seen it before.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen? No.
Yeah, this was Deanna's first time as well, and it was like way funnier than I remember, because it kind of has that like humor of the '80s, where it's like them like we have to share a bed together, two dudes.
I know.
You know, it's like easy pickings.
Yeah.
You know, at the time,
Low hanging fruit.
Exactly.
But you have the charisma of John Candy.
John Candy
carrying that.
John
movie.
Candy is fantastic.
Carrying
in this movie.
Best movie he's ever been in.
Steve Martin, though, is no
Yeah, I know
slouch.
he's great as well.
Steve Martin's great.
There's this moment where he's frustrated because he was bussed out to like a rental a rental car.
Yes.
And it took him a bus to get there, and the car isn't in the lot, isn't in the spot, and so he has to walk all the way back to the airport or the car rental place, and it's like 3 miles away. And he gets there, and he's talking to the woman who plays the secretary in Ferris Bueller.
I've seen that scene. Yeah.
And he's like, there's no fucking car in the fucking spot, and I want a fucking car right fucking now, and I want you to wipe that fucking smile right off your fucking face.
Damn.
It's
I heard that they fought for that because they're like, we know it's going to be an R rating, and the movie was more or less going to be PG-13 up until that scene. And they're like, we have to leave all the F-bombs. They have to be in there. We have to show just how fucking infuriating it is.
Yeah. I mean, it would be fucking
Walking
infuriating.
3 miles.
I have a friend online who's a host of the Beer in Front podcast, and we communicate online a few times. I went on a show, talk about my dad's favorite beer with him on a Father's Day episode. And he works at an airport, and every once in a while he'll post about like insane customers and stuff, or how he was able to help somebody in that situation. But I saw a great Twitter post that says, you know, airports don't want you to know this, but if your plane is canceled, they have a whole fleet of backup planes on the other side of the airport, but they only give you access to them if you cuss out the person at the head of the line.
Yeah.
It sucks. There's nothing you can do.
You know, what's crazy is that like after going through a terrible flight experience when I went on my trip, like I never had that much of an issue with flights, but this was like the worst. And now watching someone go through it, especially in a time when you didn't have like these devices to
pass the time,
to look up something or book another flight or book a hotel or whatever,
or just chill while you wait.
They just had to line up at the payphone. And I'm like, I can't imagine.
Poor bastards.
I cannot imagine going through that. Obviously, we wouldn't know any different if we were of that time. But
oh, it's the old days.
But it's like
everything's so slow.
I know, like we're just stuck on the plane and like you have nothing. You just
plane
full of cigarette smoke.
It's the pamphlet that tells you how to not die in the plane crash. You know, now that you get to heaven, Joseph, since you've had that experience, you unlock a special trophy.
Oh, what's that?
I got fucked on a flight. It's a very different type of award than the Mile High.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wow.
I got fucked on a flight. Give me a special cloud in heaven. Yeah.
And the last one, I watched Jingle All the Way. And I mean, don't watch it any other time of the year. So
it's great.
And it's like, it's a fun movie. Nostalgia is heavily carrying that movie for me.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not great. And it's not Schwarzenegger's best movie by any means.
Hell no.
But it's a fun movie. And
Sinbad's doing all the heavy lifting.
And it's only like highly regarded because of the nostalgia I have for it, watching it as a kid. But yeah, and that's streaming on Amazon Prime and Disney Plus.
Nice.
And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is streaming on Paramount Plus and Pluto. And that's all I have.
All right.
Heather says that we had these things called books back then, and to pass the time.
Books?
I don't get it.
I like reading books.
Trip says no, it's booze we had.
Oh, well, that's true too. Yeah.
Uncle Trip's in the chat. What's up, Trip?
Uncle Trip.
Airports are crazy. You can just drink at 8 a.m.
Dude, no laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a Cinnabon and a shot of vodka. Also pay $100 for headphones.
Yeah. I have a couple of streaming picks this week.
Cool.
I'm gonna start off with 2023's Parachute.
Parachute, huh?
Yeah, that's
a new
streaming
one.
on Netflix.
Okay.
It follows Riley, who has recently been released from rehab after struggling with addictions to food and body image. She meets Ethan and finds herself navigating the line between love and a new. Really should have had this preloaded.
Addiction. A new addiction.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, anyways, so it follows this very narcissistic young woman who suffers extremely from mental health disorders, and I thought it was really good. It was a really self-contained movie, and it really kind of highlights about the main, like, you want to root for the main character in the beginning because she is going through a lot of mental anguish. But as the movie goes along, you kind of realize like she's like a very self-centered, self-involved kind of person that you struggle, like you want to feel bad for her because you can the more intimate scenes where she's like alone in her apartment, like you can tell like she's really hurting. Like she's really hurting.
So the main actress does a good job?
Yeah.
Nice. That's Courtney Eaton playing Riley.
Right.
Don't know her.
I didn't recognize her either.
I know the rest of the cast though. Look at this. It's Dave Bautista, Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Who else? Oh, Gina Rodriguez, Joel McHale, Catherine Gallagher.
Yeah, Joel McHale. Yeah, he was
Thomas
good in it.
Mann. I always confuse him with Michael Angarano.
Thomas Mann, he looks like Spike Lee. No, it's not Spike Lee. It's Spike Jones. Spike Jones. Yeah, this movie's streaming on Netflix. I thought it's a very introspective movie because it kind of challenges your way of thinking of people who are obviously suffering from like mental illness, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's not what their behavior is not justifiable, but you can still feel bad for them.
You understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, so that it was an interesting,
cool
way to present that sort of situation towards a person. And in the end, she kind of learns her lesson.
Stop being mentally ill.
Yeah,
that's the lesson.
Yeah, someone said just stop being depressed, and she was like, "Why didn't I think of that?"
Done and done.
Yeah, really great movie.
Cool.
It's really self-contained. And then also I watched.
Before you move on with that, the director of this is Brittany Snow. She's the main character from Pitch Perfect, the blonde girl who pukes when she's nervous.
Yeah, there's a lot of puking in this movie.
Is there really?
No.
Okay. This is only her.
There's only like one scene.
This is her. That's her directorial debut. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think she wrote it too.
Yeah, she wrote it. Go ahead.
And then, so that's streaming on Netflix. And then my second streaming pick that I watched recently was 1990's Hamlet, starring Mel Gibson and Glenn Close.
Interesting.
Yeah, this movie was recommended by me from a listener and a dear friend of mine. And she said that she watched it when she was in high school in an English class. Like her English teacher loved this movie. And so I checked it out, and that's streaming on Amazon Prime. And this movie is definitely a movie that when I first pressed play on it and like the intro and stuff was going on, I could definitely see like the cart with the TV in front of the classroom.
And just putting it on for the classroom.
Just putting it on because the teacher's too hungover to teach the class. Just watch Hamlet, starring Mel Gibson.
96, you said?
1990.
Oh, 1990. Okay.
Yeah.
Hamlet?
Yeah, Hamlet. This movie, it was nominated for 2 Oscars, I believe. I didn't look at the categories. I just know that it was in the running.
I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, I didn't really care. Oh my God, this movie is, I mean, it's Shakespearean by nature, obviously, because it's Hamlet, but the costume design and the set design is so big.
Those are what they was nominated for: best art direction, set decoration, and best costume design.
Okay, cool.
So you're right on point.
Yeah, I'm right on point.
They're so big.
It was
large scale.
It was such a. It felt like a really large scale movie. It was so over dramatic. This was like I wouldn't say it's peak Mel Gibson, but when you think of Mel Gibson in a dramatic role, Hamlet is probably going to be on like that top 5 list. Everyone knows the story of Hamlet.
It's Lion King.
Yeah.
The Lion King is Hamlet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Shakespeare got his inspiration from The Lion King. I thought this movie was, I was entertained. I don't think I will revisit this movie anytime soon. I won't say it's a bad movie, but it's not a movie that I would say seek out. Like if it's on, watch it. Because there is a lot of great effort put into it.
So the 1990 version that you watched has got a 6.7 on IMDb. I thought you were talking about the Kenneth Branagh version, which came 6 years later, 1996, and that's got a 7.7, like a whole point higher. And Kenneth Branagh played himself and directed, or he played Hamlet himself and directed the movie.
I think this, it's a good movie. It's
a
solid movie.
Is this the To Be or Not to Be movie or story? Right?
No,
I
don't think so. I think that's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. That's I don't know.
The 1990 version. So this person that recommended it to you was in high school in the 90s.
Correct. Yeah. It was a good movie. I think a lot of people could say that it was overacted, especially the death scene with Glenn Close at the end. Jesus Christ, I was laughing.
Oh, this is the one where in Billy Madison, Adam Sandler quotes where he goes, "To die, to sleep, no more."
Yeah. You can tell like this movie, a lot of like the parody movies took a lot from this movie. It was fun. It was a good ride.
But you're never gonna watch it again.
I don't think I will. Okay. No, I don't think I will. But again, that's not taking away from the quality of the film. It's just that
it's Shakespeare.
It's just it's a one and done.
Shakespeare.
One and done. Yeah. So that's Hamlet, the 1990s version, starring my Mel Gibson and Joseph's Glenn Close.
He loves that 101 Dalmatians. Yeah. She really embodied Cruella de Vil.
That's streaming on Amazon Prime. I suggest everyone at least check it out once, just once. And then I guess, are we going to go into Red One?
Yes. Thank you for
all together now.
Okay.
So
Red One.
Let's go to the 3. We put a call out asking for recommendations on what movie we should watch for the week for the Christmas spirit, all 3 of us.
Yeah.
And like a couple days later, Red One hit on Amazon Prime. It seemed like the perfect match.
Yeah, it dropped pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was very quick.
So the production of the movie, it was originally intended to be a streaming only movie from Amazon Prime. It's an Amazon Studios movie. The big note of this movie was it was a $250 million budget. So, and people want to like freak out. They're like, why is that movie, or like Red Notice, also another The Rock movie, also a huge fucking bloated budget, also straight to streaming. Why are they budgets so big compared to what you're getting? And the big reason most of the industry people say is that if it's hitting theaters, there's a chance for the main actors to get points on it. If it does good on the box office, then they take their paycheck, but they also take points. So they're like, we'll get 1% of all the box office or whatever. Well, they don't have that option for streaming, so they just take a bigger payday.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be a streaming movie straight ahead. It was in theaters for 2 weeks.
Was it only 2 weeks?
I think it was a little bit longer than that.
Was it? I could have sworn it was
I think it was like
probably
4
like
weeks.
no more than a month.
Yeah.
See, Red One
opening
day. Let's see. That was November 15th. Okay, so it's been a month.
Yeah.
It made $34 million on debut weekend.
It's flopping.
But the budget was $87 million. But if you think about the intention to make it streaming only, that $87 million it made would have been zero on if it went to streaming only.
Right.
So it made $87 million back on the budget that it was planning on going to streaming anyways. And now, less than a month later, here we are watching on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yes, this is starring The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, what's her name? Kiernan Shipka, and Lucy Liu,
J.K. Simmons,
as Santa himself, aka Red One, codename Red One. And the plot of this is basically that somebody kidnaps Santa Claus.
Bonnie Hunt.
Yeah, Bonnie Hunt as Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
And you find out that Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll.
You find out that the Santa Claus is kidnapped by this other, like Santa Claus is kind of like a demigod.
Yeah.
In this world, and there's a whole agency protected, tasked with protecting him, and
other mythological things.
Yeah, and they find out that he's kidnapped by this other like Icelandic or Nordic witch who is part of like that lore of Scandinavian lore.
Yeah,
and basically Chris Evans he basically is hired to find people. He's a mercenary. He says, "I can find anybody.
I'm the wolf.
I'm the wolf." Exactly.
Her sister was a witch.
Exactly. And they basically, Lucy Liu's the leader of this organization, and Dwayne Johnson is like his main bodyguard. Yeah. And he subplot, he's disillusioned with Christmas. His last year. He's going to retire after this season, and
going to get a new job.
Go do something else. He's a 300-year-old man.
No, he's
600.
He's more than 300 years old.
Because he's like, you need someone in their prime, 300 years old. Yeah. To be your bodyguard. Oh my God. So that's basically, and they think that Chris Evans is the one that stole him because he's the wolf.
He's the guy
They find out that he's
the middleman.
He got the location for the witch.
Yeah.
So they hire him and they say, okay, you're going to come help us find Santa because you can find anybody. So that's the long and short of it. It's a big action, sort of bloated streaming movie. And what do you guys think?
Well,
are we gonna go in order? Or
yeah, Joseph, why don't you lead us off?
Oh, okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Well, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, this movie does not feel real. It felt like a joke. It felt like a Scorcher 6. Like it didn't feel like it was
Scorcher 6.
It felt like a commercial for something else.
Like a fake trailer in a movie.
But it was made like to look like a movie. Like the most high budget commercial you could ever make, starring The Rock. But it was a trailer in front of whatever movie we were seeing. And it was the whole time I was just flabbergasted.
During the trailer or during the movie?
During the trailer.
Okay.
Because the premise is so ridiculous, and the fact that it looks like it was taking itself very seriously was the bewildering part of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way that this can be real.
Okay.
But it was.
But Tim Allen's a Santa Claus can it be real?
Huh?
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
This would never happen.
Well, in that movie, the Santa Claus is a disease rather than...
That's true.
Yeah.
It's more of like a possession. But yeah, so now it's dropped on Prime. It's successful. I was not planning on seeing it in theaters, so if it didn't drop on Prime,
probably wouldn't ever see it.
I probably wouldn't have ever watched it, or it would have taken a very long time. But it did, so we watched it. Actually, I'm the only one to watch it because Deanna had no interest.
What?
And I was actually like kind of surprised in how entertaining it actually was. Not that it's a good movie, but it was way better than my expectations were at. It's better than Gladiator 2.
Oh, for sure.
I like how that's like the parameter.
Yeah.
Is it better than Gladiator 2?
It was entertaining, and at times it was actually kind of funny. I mean, the writing was like cheesy, corny at times, but there were some good jokes like that were like played seriously, like because The Rock, because his character is like, he takes everything very seriously for the most part.
Yeah,
he plays a very like almost like deadpan,
stoic.
And when he's telling Chris Evans when they first get him into the North Pole, he's like, you're a level 4 naughty lister, and he's like, a level 4 naughty lister, and he's like, is that funny to you?
I just wish that The Rock would show at least one human emotion during this whole movie,
just a little bit.
I think he smiles in a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
it's a fake smile.
And I was like, there were moments in the movie where I was like, this isn't really really geared for kids, but at times it is.
I think that they pushed the boundary just enough outside of the kid world to where there's a couple of shit bags and a couple of whatevers, but
yeah,
it was good for kids.
When we get to the Krampus scene of the movie, the makeup and design of Krampus, it looked really good.
I love that scene.
It was either really, really good CG or really, really great practical effects.
I think it was all practical, most of it at least.
Because like it's played by Clüsterfünke, Icelandic actor who was in Game of Thrones.
The wildling.
Yeah,
he's the redheaded guy who's obsessed with the giant.
Yeah. And his character was really entertaining, and I liked the whole sequence. And there was another small part of the movie where they have trolls who are like good at being on the computer, who are like hackers.
Yeah.
And like you see them and they have like buck teeth and the glasses, and they're like,
I don't like they scared me.
They talk like basically like mouth breathers or like incels.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then J.K. Simmons just being insanely ripped as Santa.
like it's part of his character that he's ripped.
Yeah. And it just happens to be ripped all at the same time. Ever since Whiplash.
I think he was quietly ripped the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe, probably. Sleeper build.
He was one of the Aryans in Oz, that old prison show.
Oh,
was he?
Yeah, he was like a racist skinhead buff beefcake.
But overall, like, it was way better than I anticipated it being, but it's still not great. I had a good time, at least.
Nice.
It did feel long. I will say that. I was like, when is this gonna be over? Because
it's 2 hours.
It's over 2 hours long, which seems a little bit lengthy for a holiday movie. Yeah. But then the link between like Chris Evans' character and like his younger version, because like you see him in the very beginning, it's like I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of
continuity,
like need for.
No, you didn't need to see the young version. I guess it's just to show that he's kind of a Grinch from the get go.
Yeah, it kind of had
I don't believe in Christmas spirit.
His intro reminded me of Payback.
Oh yeah,
his character, because he's just walking around stealing, like taking like stuff from people,
candy from a baby.
Yeah. A little on the nose there, but overall, I had a good time.
What about you, Tyler?
I agree with Joseph. I was surprisingly entertained by this movie. I know all of the scenes with Dwayne Johnson I did not like. I didn't like his character. I felt like his character was necessary, but he was too much of a main focal point in the story that was being told. Either that or The Rock is just not really a great actor. Like, I feel like there was more to be desired in that role. The implications of like the U.S. government knowing like all these like, you know, like Santa Claus is real and stuff like that, that's really scary. And it doesn't make sense though, because the U.S. government would try to kill Santa if they knew Santa existed. Yes, they would. They would. That's the whole thing about this movie is like.
So it never happened.
The governments of the world, if they knew like these supernatural beings existed, they would try to do the Batman thing and try to have like contingency plans.
That sounds like a Grinch talking to me.
And they would shoot Santa out of the sky as he was like breaking like space time to deliver presents. And by the way, this was kind of PTSD inducing too, because of PTSD inducing.
Oh.
No,
it was post-traumatic stress inducing. Works.
No, it's just PTS, post-traumatic stress. Because of the whole like the way that they deal with delivering presents to the world is very much similar to like how the package sorting goes on in my job. And I was like, oh my God,
your packages are really, really small, and then you blow them up when you deliver them.
I would like to blow.
The only difference is that J.K. Simmons is actually efficient in his job, and Tyler's sulking to the front door.
Well,
another package.
What takes Santa to do? One night.
This is why I like Santa in this movie though, is because like out of all of the warehouse workers and his elves are like, making sure the sort is correct and efficient. He's the only delivery driver in the whole operation. Like, what a burden to have on your shoulders.
He seems content with it.
Anyways, I digress.
I can't imagine. I could barely deliver packages to one house. I can't imagine doing the whole world.
How many fences did he back over? Not say anything. That's all I want to know. Anything else on that, Tyler?
I thought that the whole like Chris Evans like just stealing things like right out in the open. The one thing that was ridiculous was when he took the fire extinguisher when the gazebo was on fire, and he just like swipes the fire extinguisher when the security guard trips and falls. Like I can imagine like there has to be someone like watch like like kind of
they're
like
looking at the fire.
No, they're not. Not everyone.
It's chaos.
It's not chaos. Someone could have seen like, hey, that guy took the fire extinguisher, like or. Like I feel like he would have been called out. Like I know what they were trying to do.
How many paragraphs of your Letterboxd review revolve around the fire extinguisher? That's what I want to know.
3.
3 out of the 4, mostly fire extinguisher material.
Yeah. Again, I think this was.
They're applying too much realism into this Christmas movie.
It's a unique idea, though. It was a unique idea, and I liked it. I liked it enough to where I didn't think I was
begrudging anybody.
It didn't feel like a slog to me or anything. I laughed. I cried.
I was wet.
I was dewy. Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, it was all right. It was an all right movie.
I have to also agree. Very fun.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes, I'm like, this is taken some time to get there.
Yeah.
And what I think probably happened is that the story's written around Chris Evans' character, and he was supposed to be the main character, but The Rock's ego is too big, so that he became like, I got to be first build. I got to be, also the main character.
Right.
Yeah. We can both be first place. Can we both be top build?
I mean, I'm first place part 1.
Yeah, and he's first place part B. But because his character is not interesting, and that like subplot about him losing the Christmas spirit. You already got a character that loses the Christmas spirit from his childhood.
Yeah.
It's like, why have a flashback of Chris Evans as a boy being a Grinch, and then also
have Cal.
Dwayne Johnson is like, it's just not the same anymore. For the first year, there's more people on the naughty list than on the nice list. It's like, shut the fuck up. I don't care about your character at all. Bring on Chris Evans.
Either that, or he had a guilty conscience because he had a pass at Mrs. Claus.
I'm probably
because there was that one scene. There was that one scene where.
Can I finish?
Oh yeah, sorry.
So it's you're expecting Drek, slog, AI slop. And there was a fair amount of like really good, like the chase scene at the end with Grindelwitch or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And her flying around and the reindeer and stuff. I'm like, okay, that was all just CGI garbled up, whatever. But like the Krampus knocked. And
that
Krampus
was awesome.
Krampus slapped.
Yeah, Krampus
That was super funny.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was great. His character was great. He comes in, his sleigh is fucking cool.
Yeah.
That just starts chanting and you're like, the sleigh is chanting?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I do like how they included that lore into this as well.
Yeah, there's enough interesting things because there's only so many Santa is a badass movies that you can get before they start stepping on each other's ideas. Go ahead.
So then they say that Krampus is his adopted brother.
Yeah.
So who is Santa's parents? God
and Zeus. Yeah. Hades and
God. Zeus. It's God.
But like in the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, they have the Elf Force, ELFS.
Yeah.
And it's an acronym for something. In this one, he's ELF, ELF, which is an acronym
ELF.
for something, and they're these badass whatevers.
What was it? Enforcement.
I don't care, but
logistic and something else.
It's an acronym for something. Who cares? And they're elves. He's not an elf, but he's part of ELF.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you start kind of recycling ideas at some point because it's just there's only so much lore that you can pick from.
Right.
But the snowman coming out of the fucking ice cream truck out of the ocean was cool.
That was sick.
Yeah.
The way that they freeze people, you're like legitimately scary.
Yeah.
And how you kill him was cool.
Yeah.
Which I won't ruin it. I won't say it for anybody who wants to watch. That was cool. And then the cheesy banter works in a way because, you know, Chris Evans is this curmudgeon. And he's like, you're telling me I'm going to save Santa Claus from being kidnapped
by a witch.
By a witch. Okay. And you're like, this. It's so stupid that later on when the turn happens, it makes sense and the payoff is there. And like, you has to be that cheesy and that schlocky in order to get the scene where he's like, all right, let's do it. Say it with me. He's like, I'm not going to say let's save Christmas.
Yeah, I like that. I like that exchange.
And he says, all right, let's save Christmas. Well, your heart wasn't in it. And then he says it for real. I kind of wish there was like a musical sting there or some sort of transition. It felt like it was leading up to that moment, and then they just did it, and then they walked away quietly. But the director of this movie also directed the 2 Jumanji late sequels.
Also starring The Rock.
Welcome to the Jungle and The Next Level. He directed Dewey Cox, the Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Really?
Nice.
He directed Orange County.
Nice.
He directed Gross Point, a TV series, Freaks and Geeks, 5 episodes of that. And the producer produced like every one of the Fast and Furious movies from like 2 on or 3 on. So
he's friends with The Rock.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They're making this like big, entertaining, like visually like CGI bukkake. You know, it's like freaking everywhere you look, there's CGI splattered all over the place.
Yeah,
but
I like that analogy.
But the result of it was actually pretty fun. Like, could have gone without the Chris Evans' son story.
Yeah,
they were trapped in that like snow globe for just a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it was like the prison that Superman has for Zod.
Yeah,
but it's a snow globe.
Well, it's kind of like the end of Krampus too, where he keeps his victims in snow globes.
Again, stepping on the lore a little bit, but none of it felt rote. It all felt good. Like this is interesting and fun. So
it was fun.
You could do way worse for a big budget Christmas movie.
I like the fact that they made North Pole like a civilization, like a whole ass city. It honestly felt like the chase scene after they go like, "Where's Red? Who's with Red?" Right, and he realizes that he was kidnapped. It felt like a Arkham City, like a chase scene.
Yeah, for real. So, but yeah, a lot of fun. Anything else you guys want to say about it before we sign off?
Well, it made me think that I really want like a co-pilot sort of animal human thing. Like The Rock has that
Tyler.
The Rock has Garcia the polar bear. Han Solo has Chewbacca. What does Tyler get? Like
you have Lucas.
You have Lucas, but you don't hang out with him.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
but he's
not even doesn't even live with you.
He's scared of the outside world. I need someone who can stand on 2 feet.
Get a furry.
Oh, get
a furry friend.
I don't know. Like,
I can't remember who I was talking about this with, but like there's furries, right? People who have like wolves and mammalian, dressing up as mammals.
Yeah.
What about like fish? Fishies?
I don't remember where I heard that either. I heard that sounds familiar.
I feel like we talked about this already.
They're like, what's a snake called? It's not a furry. I think I'm a snake. I feel like I'm a dolphin.
It's amphibian.
That's a mammal.
Amphibiary.
Slipperies.
Slippies.
I don't know. That's
Slippy,
all.
Slappy, Swanee.
I don't know. That's all I got. I think Red One was a fine movie.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse. So, okay, cool. So that's everything. And thank you to our cool ass yard duties over on Patreon. That's Javier, who Tyler's now finally part of the club. Heather, who just left the chat. Michael, Steven, and Chris. If you want to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/middleclassfilmclass or just watch on the YouTube page. That helps too. Thank you to all of our Patreon members and subscribers. It really means a lot. Until next time. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Amanda Jane. That's it. I was like,
AJ Stern.
AJ Stern. Thanks for Amanda Jane Stern for joining us about Perfectly Good Moment. Go watch that on Tubi. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com, and send us an email in the show notes.
And follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class, and leave us a voicemail, why don't you, at 209-283-1716.
And follow us on Twitter at PodcastMCFC and on TikTok at Middle Class Film Class.
All right, thanks for everyone in the chat. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
See ya. Maybe Memento is Tenet 1.
Class dismissed.
I gotta get out of here. The bell doesn't dismiss you. I dismiss you.
You're free to go.
See you next week.
See you later. See you later.
That's a wrap.
Great show.